Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Point 3 podcast. Today, we are talking about Secret Invasion, episode 4, reviewing, recapping, theorizing, everything, talking about what we think is a fantastic episode of television. Before we get started, really quick, please follow us on our social medias at Point 3 Podcast, and don't forget to like and subscribe to us here on YouTube. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, before we start, though, we have to pat ourselves on the back, and we have to demand that Marvel flies us out to Secret Invasion episode 6 premiere, because who called it? We did. That Rhodey is a Skrull from before they started dropping hints. So give ourselves a clap. How did you guys react to that? Were you guys happy that they confirmed it at least and they didn't swerve us?
No. I'm glad they didn't drag it out to episode 6. I'm glad they put it out there.
I'm happy it finally got revealed, but I wish we did not get that phone call last episode with his voice pretty much confirming he was a Skrull. He was talking to Priscilla.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people haven't been the most fond with the reveal. I don't know.
Why? Like, that's my one question. I thought about that. You guys know my thoughts that I had. I dropped them in the chat before when I saw the runtime in this show, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And I have seen that though, but Spider-Man, I like, what are people saying about the Rhodey piece? Because I know you had mentioned that offline as well.
They think it was a little anticlimactic with the way it got revealed for such a big character. Or I guess for someone that's been in the MCU as long, but realistically, I think people are expecting him to. Well, we still don't know how long he's been a Skrull, so that's still the next big question. But a lot of people were just like either really guessing that he's been a Skrull for a very long time, and that it deserved like a huge payoff, or they just like don't believe that he's been a Skrull pretty recently or for that. So it's just weird. It all comes down to how they think how long he's been a Skrull, and I'm like, I still thought it should have been like not hinted at last episode or kind of like confirmed last episode. It should have just been what we got this episode, and I think everybody would have been on the same wavelength.
I think it was confirmed even before that. And
Same.
I think they left a big piece, and I think I don't know, Hero Scroll. I don't know if it was you or Spider-Brand who had mentioned it when he was called Nick. He called him Nick.
Yeah,
it's like the number one offense thing where you're like, okay. Like,
yeah, I think that was Spider-Brand. But it's one of those things that if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It's kind of take your poison. I feel like it works either way, because if you are the kind of person like us that kind of theorizes and sometimes even overthinks a little bit, you could be like, you can almost defend it and being like, well, maybe he was working with Gravik, but he doesn't really, know them, or maybe he intercepted the call and he's not a Skrull, but this episode confirms it for you, and I think they do it in a really neat way.
Yeah.
A fun wrestling reference, by the way.
I do DDT from the top rope. I was like, when does Undertaker ever DDT'd somebody from the top rope?
He never has, but then when he's like, that's some Undertaker levels, I was like, I like that though.
I thought Vara's next line was going to say, I don't understand the wrestling reference, but then she's like, that wasn't related. But I was like,
they would have been around for the Attitude Era, so they would have understood.
Fair point.
What else worked for you guys?
What worked for you, man? What worked for you?
Oh my God, it's gonna be everything. No, but what I will talk about, the first thing that I definitely want to discuss, the interaction between Fury and his wife back home. Oh man,
say it.
The tension. Yeah, Chef Brando, Spider Chef Brando, go ahead, hit us with it.
Spider Chef Brando. Wait, Chef Brando. Dude, ever since someone messed me up the other day, I've just been in my head about it. Every time I go to say it myself.
No,
Needless, it was definitely
Spider Brando Chef Kiss approved.
There you go. You heard it here. But no,
I don't mean to cut you off, but
no.
The engagement I had of watching this on a mobile device while walking on a treadmill. Like I was glued to the freaking phone the entire time. I was like, I had my Beats headphones on, so I still got some nice audio with it, and I think that helped immerse me a little more. But I was hooked all 37 minutes. Like it was freaking packed a punch.
It really did. It really did. But that interaction was fantastic.
Yes,
I
yes.
love the tension from the minute that she walks in the door. She sees that he doesn't have his ring on, and you almost wonder. It makes you genuinely think about how you saw the things in episode 2 and episode 3 before, because in episode 2 she kind of changes herself before he walks in. So at least for me, I didn't think about it until this, and he's talking to her and he's like, tell me the story of how you chose her. And then how she says, would you have still loved me at the end of their interaction if I had changed back? And he's like, we'll never know. It really makes you wonder, well, has he seen her as a Skrull? Did he know before this conversation, before he eavesdropped on her, that she even was a Skrull?
Potential. We went back and forth. My wife and I were watching it. We went back and forth. And first off, I should know the name. I didn't have it. Whoever is playing, the actress that's playing Vara or Priscilla, oh my gosh, this show has done a really, really good job of making majority of characters who are on scene very impactful in the small amount of screen time that they've had. And even in the beginning of this episode, the way that they set up their relationship, they do a great job of still making it mysterious. But the fact that like he fell in love with her, but still doesn't know one of the most intricate details about her, of the story of why you look the way you do based on what we saw in episode 2. I thought that was fascinating. Unless I'm missing something from there. He didn't know that the person she simmed, their story.
He didn't
right?
know. That's what I got from it, that he was completely in the dark. And I will take that a step farther and saying he doesn't know what she looks like as a Skrull.
Well, wait, maybe, because remember when Gravik was introduced, the person that introduced him was her, was it not? As a Skrull?
No, I don't think it was.
No?
Okay, I believe it was someone else.
I have to know. I'm curious because I at least know that he didn't know. You're saying he didn't know what she looked like in human form?
As a Skrull, yeah. He doesn't know her in her Skrull form.
I thought he does know her in Skrull form because when he goes to the diner, he's supposed to meet someone and he knew he was supposed to be meeting, but didn't know what she looked like as a human.
Maybe I'm gonna see, but this is the great thing about this, that it now just gives us a reason to go back and watch this.
I legitimately started episode 1 over as soon as this episode was finished.
It lets us go back and watch this with a new perspective. And again, another point that they say in episode 3 when he's talking to her and he's like, I need to know the kind of person that you've become. Yes. And she kind of gives him a simple answer of, I've been who I've always been. That takes on so many layers now, where you can see it as one way or you can see it as a completely different other way.
Yeah.
Morality, duality, baby.
Yes. Dude, I love that. But the other thing that I like of layers of these two characters, right? Fury, there's 3 things about Fury that I love that they're portraying, is like him as Nick Fury, and then they show him off screen when he's done with stuff and he's like, oh my gosh, and he like kind of lets his guard down, right? And then he plays like that senile old fool that everyone keeps claiming that he is. And he had that moment when he broke into Skrull Rhodey's hotel room, and great. He's just like, just playing dumb, right? Just playing the game. But the 2 things that I like before, and I wrote these quotes down from the beginning, is when Priscilla says this to Nick when they're at the dinner in Paris, and right after the events of Avengers 1, where she's like, there's 2 things. Home is worth fighting for, and the weak are worth protecting. And there's so many themes that they're struggling with when it comes to the Skrulls and humans, and the purpose of everyone and the motivation behind everyone. And they do such a good job of just casting doubt on these simple things. These 2 things I feel like are easy, streamlined things from the beginning of episode 1 until now. Home is worth fighting for. That takes on a different connotation for the Skrulls. That's different from Fury and the humans, even Sonya Fallsworth. And then the weak are worth protecting. The Skrulls protected their weak, but also that's one of the biggest things that started the Avengers Initiative. Captain Marvel, all these characters dude, it's so good how you're getting so many
And
perspectives.
And what I love about this particular show, and I mean, obviously, we're 2 more episodes, the show could go to crap. Hopefully, it doesn't. But what I love that this show is doing that most of the other Marvel shows haven't done, you still have questions. And they're answering your questions, but ultimately, you're still wondering, well, how long is that? Wait, explain to us, please. And they're like, nope, we're going to keep going now. And it really just it leaves you thinking about the episode, because something as you would think as big as Nick Fury knowing who his wife is would be a clear-cut answer, but it's not. And what he means to her and what she means to him, you really still don't have that 100%.
Dude,
It's fantastic.
It also shows how much he really wasn't around. Like, they weren't joking about that. But then again, at the end of the episode, it shows how much he does actually care for her, and she cares for him, even though they've been gone all this time and they come from 2 completely different places.
There's an aspect of care in their relationship that at least I haven't really seen too much in other Marvel romances, I think.
Oh, best
Right?
MCU love story right here.
I honestly 100%.
Move over, WandaVision. See ya. I'm calling it right. This is like a true love story right here.
Yeah. For sure.
This does we didn't talk about the elephant in the episode. Maybe in the first, I don't know, 30 seconds after the skip recap. Spider Brando.
What's up?
You got something to admit to us here?
My girl's alive.
Homie was scared. If you
Dude,
guys
I
go
got
back
scared.
last week,
I got scared.
he was
But
scared his baby mama
realistically,
died.
I knew she was probably. Honestly, I haven't watched a lot of the trailers, so like I didn't know that there's a lot of footage in said trailers of no appearance or of future appearances that we haven't seen yet. So that's why I was like, damn, she's actually like dead. But then I started reading into it more, and then I'm like, nah, she's coming back. She came back. She is about to be the MVP of this show. I'm calling it. I called it back in the preseason. Super Skrull, Talos, RIP. Who's gonna fight Gravik? Who's gonna want revenge on her father's?
Yeah.
Nice. Freaking farewelling. I think she's finally going to start seeing his viewpoint after knowing what Gravik did. And even though they didn't see the same side the entire time, I think this will be like the Super Saiyan mode per se.
Yeah.
The breaking point.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to hopefully see a fight between them two, because there's no who else is gonna fight Gravik as a freaking. We thought Talos maybe, but that ain't happening anymore. Fury's got a couple rockets or gadgets, but
The ultimate Call of
I
Duty
don't know.
player, by the way.
Honestly,
Yeah, right?
dude, homie was, his kill death ratio is through the roof.
That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, bro, drop this guy in Nuketown. He's gonna go 31-0. No problem.
Dude, for a fight scene though, I want to say that's something that worked in this episode.
Yeah.
The whole like battle they had for a TV show of like the MCU, and some people kind of saying the action scenes are a little cringy or low budget or like just don't have a real feel to them. This felt like I was watching, or I was like playing a video game or watching like a cinematic in something. It felt actually like cool, like choreographed in a military operation style or like a stealth op style.
I agree.
And I was like, I was so into it, man.
What I love is
I gotta rewatch this on a TV. Like, it's freaking.
do it, because that's what I did. I was gonna say though, I love the fact that they outright from the beginning, when Gravik tells him, "Hey, you're supposed to be a Russian. Do this loud like the Russians would."
Yes.
And they go all in on the action, and that scene reflects that. And I don't know. I don't get why people say that the action scenes have been cringy. I've personally have really liked them a lot, including the last 2 episodes, which have been like more smaller, more intimate action scenes. But this one was the grandiose, like, boom, explosions. We're going to have 2 helicopters crash, and then we're going to have a rocket shoot, and we're going to have like 7 different rockets. It's just going to be great.
In the details with those things too. because there's something I want to go back to when it comes to the plans, and Spider Brandon, you had mentioned it of Gaia and kind of stepping into Talos' role, right? But I do want to highlight and shout out the details in the fight scene. Everything feels so purposeful in this show. Oh my gosh, and the stuff that they crammed into this episode in the time that they did, it's a reflection of Disney Plus and how they've kind of, I think She-Hulk was the biggest offender of not giving us much in a short episode time frame. So when I saw this, I was like, 37 minutes, but that's still a good amount of time to do something. And they did it. Like they did it. Even when there was that explosion and they kind of like rattled the president's car, and you see his like body moving back and forth and little things and like the people around him. And when Talos and Fury are moving and I don't know, was it the British Army or was it Falsworth's people who came to support them?
British Army.
Yeah. When they were moving along and they did that overhead view, you still saw people like drop. You know what I mean? It wasn't just everyone's there. It's like they're firing at them and they need to protect them. Oh my gosh, everything just makes sense in this show. But I want to take a quick step back because I think that you guys are on something here when it comes to how do they resolve kind of like what's next? What do we want to see? And where are they going with two plans, right? Because Gavik's plan in full force, which is essentially take over the host planet. Let's be who we are, who are Skrulls. Let's be in our own skin and stop blending into everyone else who they're inferior to us. And we can do whatever we want. Let's just take it over. And then you have Talos's plan, which is let's seek amnesty. Let's find refuge for the million of us. Let's continue to be as we are, and we can blend in and assimilate with a host planet who has really been there's good people here, and they've taken care of us. So why can't we coexist? And Gaia's somewhere in the middle where they have that conversation on the bench, and he's telling the plan, let's go to the president. We can offer him the bargaining chip, blah, 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 blah. They'll find us amnesty. And she's like, don't you want to be in your own skin? Like, don't you want to be a Skrull? And I'm still on the fence of like, I feel like she could go either way still, kind of.
She could, and I'm gonna add a step to that Talos scan as well. They are still playing that long game. I don't know if Talos is dead, right? There's a 50-50 chance that he just gets back up next episode and is like, ow, that hurt. But
wait. Time out. Spider Brando is definitely right with her dying, because if she didn't have the extremist formula and became like 1/4 of a super Skrull, she definitely would have died, and she changed. I kind of really do think that Talos is legitimately dead. Shot, change, and Gravik stab. I feel like that's like a double ding.
I mean, that is true, right? And I'll defer to you, right? I'll let that win. But the to add to the point of what you were saying, at least of where they're playing with that plan mentality, when when Talos starts changing after he's shot, the British army looks at him and he's like, he's an alien, get him. And Nick Fury has to step in and be like, no, he's with us, please. Like, he has to beg him to not shoot.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure that they're gonna keep playing with that. They have to, right? Because so few people know about what Skrulls actually are, that it's going to be such a big like shock to them that they have these abilities and people are going to be scared of that. So if they assimilate or if they take over, he's going to keep playing with that. I love it.
I know we talked about it last time, and I think Spider Brando. Sorry, I was so far away. I know that you've been vocal about like this leading to mutants. I think that from a fan audience standpoint, I really think we're ready for a long-term Professor X versus Magneto storyline. And this is kind of a tease-ish to it. I am actually starting to more like believe in the way that they're going to talk about the mutant gene has to do with Skrulls.
It's the only way to make sense.
A little bit more. I'm starting to kind of put that more on my radar of future theories of like, man, if there are a million of them and they do have something to do, and the Celestials have a kind of role in this, and blah, 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 and the Deviants and that kind of storyline, maybe. I don't know. Future theory. I just want to say one thing that really still did work for me and has worked for me and will most likely work until this series ends. This feels like I'm watching. Have you guys ever watched Queen's Gambit on Netflix?
No.
Highly recommend it. But I feel like I'm watching one of the greatest chess matches of all time between Fury and Gravik.
It feels that way. Yeah, absolutely. They're both playing chess. It's not one of those I'm playing checkers, you're playing checkers, I'm playing chess. No, they're both playing chess and they're blocking each other, but moving and it feels like Gravik's moving in a little more. Yeah.
It's nuts. I still think Gravik will go down as one of the best Disney Plus villains.
Yo, one of my friends, actually, to that, where is it? One of my friends asked me if Gravik is a top 10 MCU villain yet, and
that's tough.
Rapid fire 10.
I think he's up
Rapid
there.
fire 10.
He's top 20.
Give me 10. Give me 10. Give me 10.
Thanos.
I can't give you 10. I don't know.
MCU. So MCU.
Thanos, Loki.
Yeah, Thanos,
Killmonger.
Loki. Killmonger.
Ultron.
No.
High Evolutionary.
High Evolutionary.
I'll put him at 4.
Okay.
What else is there? There's so many villains.
You have what?
When
you
can say Goblin. Just got No Way Home Goblin count.
Oh yeah.
No Way Home Goblin.
Goblin,
counts.
Wenwu.
Wenwu.
I have a shelf of all this and my villains. And I guess you could say Kang.
Not yet.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if he's in the top 10.
Not yet.
I think he's at like 11 just because
Okay.
Quantumania is just it didn't do enough for me.
All right, let's do this. To anyone who's watching this right now, episode 4 of Secret Invasion, do you think that Gravik is a top 10 MCU villain at this point in the series? Comment below. Let us know what you think. Yes or no. Maybe why. I'm going to say yes.
I think so. Yeah. I think as I was nearing down that list, I was going to get to Gravik.
Is he a world threat?
Yes.
Is he a
Super Scroll that can shapeshift into Nick Fury?
Is he a universal threat? Is he a threat to other places? That's my piece.
I wouldn't say universal yet, but at least until he gets like Wakandan technology to fly off Earth, he's still limited to there. So
okay. All right.
To play devil's advocate, I'll say he's not top 10. Not yet. I gotta wait till the series is done, just to make some people mad. But he's not top. I don't know. At least right now, to me, he's not. I can earnestly say that. I have to wait till to the end, because next week he can come out and his bro Pagon can come kill him and be like, "I'm Gravik now."
No, although that is something I would not be surprised if we see Gravik die and then this guy just runs off into the woods, bam, shapeshift, and Gravik's on the loose still. I wholeheartedly could see him sacrificing everyone around him.
Oh, for sure.
To live.
For sure.
What else do we have? Do we have anything? Did anything not work in this episode for you guys? I really have no complaints personally in this episode.
I have to pick.
Great dialogue, great pacing. It had a lot of info and it packed a punch, as they said in like one of the opening scenes. Like the episode legit packed a punch. I think the MCU found its formula also of 6-episode formatted shows with this type of style.
6 episodes. I don't.
How much does She-Hulk had? Like 9, right?
Most people say too many.
Captain Marvel had. Not Captain. I always do that now.
Miss
Marvel had like 8.
I think it was.
I think so. I can't remember their episode
I think
count.
6. I think 6 is their sweet spot.
So here's my question. I thought about this because previously I've always been someone who's a special presentation, I think, is the way to go, just because weekly releases in a world of streaming and binge watching, I think it's difficult for a lot of people to go back to that. And there's so much on social media and the internet where you can sway your opinion so much. And honestly, it gets tiring defending a lot of things on a week to week basis for 2 to 3 months. So God knows what's going to happen during Daredevil. But the hard part is we've had a lot of these. Again, this was coined as like one of the biggest crossover events. And I don't necessarily think that's traditionally a crossover, what most people feel. I think that they're referencing a lot of things, but I don't think it's crossover in terms of like Crisis on Infinite Earths and CW, where you're getting a lot of people from different shows to show up in one show or multiple shows to complete that whole kind of whatever storyline that they have going on. But Fury's established. He's been a part of a lot of things. I think there isn't a whole lot that we have to fill in, even though they're filling in some things about who Fury is outside of just Mr. Shield and the assembler of the Avengers and Captain Marvel. But like a Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, even She-Hulk, don't you kind of need a little bit longer of episodes because they don't show up in movies first that much anymore? Like that is their first introduction. What do you guys think about that kind of like, would an intro character still feel good with a 6-episode formula like this?
I think they could, depending on how it all depends on the story around it and how they play it out per episode, right? Because, I mean, I'm pretty sure we can sit here and talk about why this series needs 4 more episodes, especially because of how good it is. But yet they're like, no, you get 6. And, you know, kind of like you said, She-Hulk for some people felt too long and they said, hey, we needed, you know, less. Me personally, Moon Knight, I think, could have benefited from more, but where they ended it, I'm pleased still. So it just entirely depends on the story being told and how well that story is and how it's being received by people.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Brando, I'm curious what you thought, because I know there's some shows that by no means you can watch anything however you want to watch it when you want to watch it, but I know that you haven't watched everything right off the bat. So to watch this show weekly, do you feel like, man, if this is how everything was, I probably would?
Yes, a show has to hook me to like stay on top of it very weekly, especially with. I didn't get hooked into Captain Marvel. I did not get hooked into She-Hulk.
Yeah.
This show has hooked me very hard. I haven't had a show to watch like that I've been waiting for weekly in a very long time, so this has felt a very big void. And like even Demon Slayer, I was watching that pretty weekly up until I was like, I don't have the time to fully keep up with it, but this show,
Yeah.
I'm making sure. I watched it at the gym today. Like, I think that's the perfect freaking example of how hooked and how invested they get you into the storyline.
They did it quick. They've been big offenders of taking about 3 episodes to really start ramping up the pacing and the speed and like getting you invested into the show. I think it's taken a minute. And you're like, okay, well, it takes 2 to 3 weeks. And if they're not dropping 2 episodes in the first day or the first week, you kind of have to wait. I'm actually happy that they're dropping 6 episodes weekly. I think it's good, especially if something is purposefully coming after it. Because when this is done in 2 weeks, that puts us in what, August?
August, yeah.
And then we don't have anything MCU wise until the Marvel.
There's Loki in somewhere in like September. I heard it got pushed back to like October or something though.
Oh, I guess Loki would be next.
And then the Marvels.
So we still have a minute, but
just think the Marvels should have been coming out in like
now
16 days.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
should have been my birthday present, but Marvel was like, psych.
Yeah.
It's okay. I would have rather any other movie than
dude, I'm telling you, it still has hope.
Dude, no, I retract that. I am excited for the movie as much as I shit on the Marvels. After that trailer, I am excited to watch it. But
It's got Fury in
I
it,
don't know, I'm
baby.
not like that excited
To-
at the same time.
To tie this back more into Secret Invasion, though, what this does make me excited though for is Armor Wars. I'm a lot more curious about Armor Wars now than I ever was, because Armor Wars I was like, all right, whatever, I don't care about Rhodey's War Machine. Now they made me care, especially knowing that he's been a Skrull for God knows how long.
Feige said that he's seen him, that we have seen him as a Skrull replacement of him somewhere.
For sure.
I can't remember.
For sure. But what I was going to say, also the fact that they changed it from a series to a movie really makes me believe that the higher ups in Marvel believe in this film for some reason. I don't know why, and we'll probably find out as we get closer to it. But it makes me a lot more curious now for that movie.
100%. I do want to shout out one thing. I was talking about this the second time I watched it through. Rhodey was the perfect character to make a Skrull.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, I think it'd be hilarious if the Skrull happened between Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle. I just think that'd be funny. I just do. But it was a good character because you didn't really know much about Rhodey outside of being Iron Man's guy. And the guy who got busted during Civil War, and the guy who just shows up with a dope suit. So it was an easy one for people to be like, is he? Isn't he? Is he? Isn't he? And now I kind of want to be like, man, I want to know what Rhodey's going to think after he comes back.
I'm a call it.
Okay.
That Civil War was the last time we saw normal Rhodey.
Uh-huh.
That after his big injury in Civil War, that's the last time you saw him, because one, that is the perfect time to be replaced
for sure
as a Skrull. And let's be honest, his recovery too miraculous, because they went from telling you, yeah, he might not be able to walk ever again without his that thing that Iron Man gave him,
Tony Stark,
to now just being like fully being out there. Nah, something's up. And so Civil War. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's Civil War,
I'm sorry.
And it's going to affect him, because something that they do in the comics is, I believe Ant-Man is off-world during Secret Invasion, and they bring him up to speed on everything that happened, and it devastates him like to his core.
He doesn't know Tony's gone.
They could easily put Rhodey into that, and that's what I think they're gonna do, and that's why I say it instantly makes Armor Wars so much more interesting.
Wow. Dude, the show is making every Earth thing more interesting with all the references.
This is
like
what they needed.
I feel so grounded. Like, you got the president's life in jeopardy, as we know. Ross is coming in as President Ross in Thunderbolts. I'm sure the Skrulls are gonna have some, I feel like they're gonna have something to do with Captain America, of just the fact the title is Brave New World, and New World being Skrulls or like invaders amongst them. I really feel like they're gonna just tie it in like that, and that'll be grounded.
Yeah.
There's a third one. I had a third reference point. I don't know where it went, but I'm excited for I'm really excited for Thunderbolts now. Just for Ross. I feel like he's gonna get something's gonna happen to the president in the show that's gonna set that up. And then, like we said last episode, Fury forming a team of unknown people at first to try to fight the Skrull invaders, and then that could even lead to Cap Brave New World, where he goes to try to form his own Avengers once they realize Thunderbolts screwed up or whatnot. I don't know, something along those lines. But I'm down to stay on Earth for a while.
And the best part, it's not just like we're going straight in, the streets of New York, and it's just Daredevil and Kingpin and like local street hero characters. They literally grounded cosmic characters and we're still getting all of these pull-ins and tie-ins. This, I agree. I don't necessarily think they can recreate the way that the spy espionage kind of feel, but the way that they're peppering in tie-ins and making things relevant and just utilizing all the MCU lore that's existed before, we're finally getting a series that is playing with all the toys that have been around them the whole time. So for anyone, but what I doubt episode 5 and 6 are going to be terrible. Okay, 5 is probably going to be a banger. 6 might kind of like leave us off on like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen next, whatever. But I don't know how people don't like this, and I'm so curious to see people's opinions when they binge it, because I know a lot of people who aren't watching it and they're waiting to stack all the episodes. They're avoiding spoilers. They're binging it. I need to see reactions of people who are watching it bang, 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 because this show has brought, or will most likely bring, a lot of people back to the table, and it renew the faith in the MCU. Phase 5. Oh, episode 4 was amazing.
Phase 5 is off to a good start.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Get the Quantumanium crap out of here.
Nah, bro. Quantumania was
that's a phase
I'm
4
just
that
being
they
the devil's
bumped.
advocate.
Nah, and I mean, admittedly, Phase 5, they've picked it up, so.
Oh, this is another thing I gotta add to my list of cues is rewatching Quantumania.
You can save yourself time. Save yourself time. Just skip to the halfway point.
Don't do it.
I tried and failed. But do you guys have any big final thoughts before we jump?
That was my theory. Was my big thought.
That's good. It's a great show. Great
Gaia's MVP. I'm still calling it.
Okay. Real quick. All right, guys, your MVP. Hero Scroll. Who's going to be your MVP?
I'm going to say Nick Fury.
Ooh, I was going to say Talos until this episode, so I'm going to go Nick Fury. Gaia's got a future in the MCU.
Gaia's been my MVP since whenever we did a preseason episode of talking about it.
Dog, she's been your MVP since long before that.
She's been MVP since Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
All right. Well, she was my Secret Invasion MVP ever since Game of Thrones. The Secret Invasion wasn't around since then. But yes, she has been my MVP since Game of Thrones.
We'll take it. Well,
that's fair.
Listen, we appreciate all of you watching and listening and joining us. Again, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Point 3 Podcast. Do not forget to join us next Monday on YouTube live stream, 8:30 Eastern, where we're going to be discussing the latest news, reviews, and insider scoops. Also, catch the full episode of our podcast anywhere you listen: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Check it out. If you are watching Secret Invasion Episode 4, let us know your thoughts over at the Point 3 Podcast on Instagram or TikTok, and also the brand new Threads app. Until then, keep watching, keep reading, and keep nerding out.